Welcome back everyone. If you haven't been here before, my name is Sharon and I'm going to talk you through a really fabulous floral design for today. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I love to use vintage containers, but this time we've got a fairly modern, very trendy container that has come from, I think, Home Bargains here in the UK. So Home Bargains is one of those home stores that we have here in the UK. It's a really unusual shape. I don't know why, but I feel it's got a bit of a Mexican, Spanish sort of vibe to it. It's got this handle on one side and it's quite a bulbous base. Beautiful terracotta colour, and it's really going to work well with my flower choice for today, which is the Anthurium, and this variety is Tequila. And I've only just thought, Mexican tequila, I think they go perfectly well together. So we've got this amazing colour as my main flower, and then I've got some accent flowers and foliages to go with it as well. And I've also got, just for display purposes, because we are heading into the autumn, so I'm currently filming in October, I've got these really pretty matching pumpkins that have also come from the same store. I felt the colour worked so well with them. There were some colours that were quite orangey, which didn't go quite as well, but this is going to work great for today. Now, I've already sat on the top one of these little candle cup holders. These are plastic little bases that are designed to sit into narrow containers, and it's going to work perfectly for today's arrangement. And I have linked these products in the description box. So if you finish the video and you want to buy anything like this, I've made it easy for you to be able to find them on Amazon because I've linked them in the description box. So what I'm going to do first of all is sit my floral foam onto the top. You can possibly see it's a little bit wide, so I'm just going to use my knife to take off maybe 1 centimetre on the end so it fits more comfortably into my little plastic dish. And what I'm trying to think about is that the flower stems I've got are quite narrow. I don't have a huge amount of flower varieties with me, so I don't need to have a huge amount of floral foam. What I'm also going to do is use the floral fix underneath that plastic container. So I've got a nice secure mechanic. So let's just get rid of that. So I'm going to use some of this sort of plasticine type substance that will help to secure my plastic container and stop it moving around. So we just get 2 of those into place, 1 on either side, and then I'm going to pop that plastic dish on the top. You could, if you wanted to, spray that in a colour to match the container, but I'm hopefully going to have enough foliages and flower types to be able to completely cover that. And as usual, without my glasses on, I can't see where the end of my tape is. And I'm just going to go right the way over the top, back down on the other side, and I'm going to go round the neck of that container as well for extra sort of security and to make sure that that's not going to topple over. And then I'm hoping that that is nice and secure, and I'm just going to remove that little bit of tape there so I don't have to worry about covering it. And we're going to remove these out of the way when we're working. Now, one thing you need to now consider is that this is all part of your mechanics and it all needs to be hidden. So we're going to have to angle our flowers and our foliages down slightly to make sure that this area, this ugly sort of prep work of our floral design, is completely covered. And as the design progresses, hopefully I will achieve that. So really secure on there, I've gone under the handle. Hopefully there's no way that's going to fall apart. And we're going to start now with some really wispy bits of palm leaves. You might be lucky enough to have these growing in your garden. If you haven't got anything like a palm, you could use something like leatherleaf or eucalyptus. Something hopefully that's a bit tropical looking to blend and match with my flowers. I think of anthuriums as being quite tropical. They don't grow particularly well here in the UK, so I always like to match them with a foliage that I also think is a bit tropical. And what I'm doing here is going asymmetrical, so we're longer on this side here than we are on this side. I'm thinking that some of the fronds on this side are a little long, so I'm going to give them a bit of a haircut, and then we're going to get a blunter look alongside this more free-flowing style with the lovely curved palms on that side. Now I've got 3. You could use leatherleaf, soft ruscus from a florist shop. Try and look in your garden to see what you have access to and make use of whatever's available. I'll pop another 2 little pieces over this side, remembering that I've still got to work on covering the underneath, and I'm going to snip them off. I like to have this shorter side approximately half of the length of this side, and then you get a fairly well proportioned floral design. Right, now I get to add in my gorgeous little tequila anthuriums. Before I put the palm leaves in, I really had to consider how long my anthuriums were going to be and make sure that my foliage outline wasn't too big in comparison to the length of my anthurium, and hopefully I've worked that out quite well. So the palm leaves are slightly longer than my anthuriums, and what I'm going to do is bring them in a staggered sort of line from one side up to the top section. If you notice that, my anthurium stem has poked out the side here, so I'm going to have to cut that one shorter. If you haven't been arranging for a long time and you're still in the beginner stage, sometimes the stem can be left too long and then it shoots out the back of the foam, and then it doesn't have access to water and it dies much quicker. So just be a little bit mindful to make sure that none of your stems poke back out either side of the floral foam. So we've started that staggered line coming from one side to the other. I'm going to continue. I've got 5 to use. So let's get that really lovely rhythmic line. If you haven't got a tropical flower like me, then consider something like a single rose or a single carnation. You can quite often buy the anthurium as a house plant in supermarkets and DIY stores. So you can always invest in a plant and cut off the flowers as and when you want them. And I mentioned leatherleaf. If you're not familiar with what it is, it's this lovely sort of palm looking foliage. This is an imported foliage. To my knowledge, it doesn't grow in the UK, but just by angling that downwards, it's going to help to cover that ugly tape that's underneath. And I'm going to do a couple of those pieces. It's a fairly modern design. My anthuriums are grouped together, and I'm going to do the same with my leatherleaf here and group it in a section towards the front. It's important that I angle it downwards because it's going to help cover that really ugly plastic tape. And then unusually for me, I've got 1 Protea. Now this is a Pincushion Protea or the Leucospermum. Really unusual flower type, but I've only got 1 of them. Not quite sure how I've ended up with just 1 left. And I'm not a great lover of using 1 flower on its own, but I'm going to tuck it in just on the returned side, so the shorter side, because I think that with 1 flower, that's the best position to use it. Now, I'm not bringing any flowers back on the shorter side. I'm keeping them all to one side so we get that nice asymmetric look. There is a really lovely contrast between the flat, glossy texture of my anthurium and that more fussy, prickly, but soft prickly Protea. And then to really add in a completely different texture, I've got that velvety Amaranthus. And this will grow perfectly well in the UK. Even I can grow this. If you've got a climate like us here in the UK, then that's going to grow really well. And I'm going to cluster 2 of them together, hopefully avoiding hiding that handle. And that was a mouthful, avoiding the handle. So I don't want to come too far over to the handle side, but that gives, I think, quite a dramatic look. And now what I need to do, that's all my flower content. If I wanted to, I could add some wires onto these fabric pumpkins, and I could add them into the design as well. But I'm just going to finish this off with some greenery. You'll notice that at the back of the arrangement, there's still a huge amount of floral foam visible, and I can see all that tape. So we've got to work now on making sure that the back area of the arrangement is really neatly finished off. And I'm going to repeat the same as I did at the front and use my leather leaf. My brain went blank there and I couldn't think what it was called. So this, of course, is leather leaf. And I'm going to tuck that in. Don't worry if you haven't got the same foliages as me. Just look for things from the garden or pop to your florist shop and see what they've got available. but that's helped. I've still got a bit at the side that needs filling, but the back section is almost completely covered. And because it's a sort of modern design, I really don't want to overfill and clutter it up with lots of fussy flowers and foliages. This one is Cordyline compacta. It will grow quite well as a shrub in hotter climates, but I'm going to cut it so I've got the individual leaves. If we just show you that in the close-up camera, this is a really long stem, and then I've got these individual leaf stems which are going to help cover my foam, and by cutting them all into individual pieces I can fit them in really nicely without over cluttering and giving that really messy look. Beautiful colour, fabulous texture, and the Cordyline comes in a few different varieties, a few different colours. You get a nice variegated one, and the colour link alongside that Anthurium is just beautiful. It picks up on the darker tones on the outside. So that's the front almost covered. I'm going to carry a couple right the way through to the back. That's made sure that your eye will travel all the way back. And now I've got to think about this area here. And I think what I'm going to do here is, rather than add in any fussy foliages, which is going to make it a bit untidy in the middle, I'm going to use my final two Anthuriums, tucked down quite low, close to the foam. It's going to cover my foam, but without making that area really messy and really busy. And with one flower, I've done that job quite quickly. When you're working on something that's a bit more modern with less flower content, you know, a really minimal choice of flowers and greenery, the last thing we want to do is pack lots of busy, fussy textures in there, because it will make the design really untidy. So I'm going to do one final round of covering the remaining parts of the floral foam. It's just the addition of a few little leaves is all I need, and then this design is complete. Now don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please do so. It really does help other people find us, and it really helps this channel grow. When I started, I had no idea there were going to be so many people interested in flower arranging, and the channel has really gone from strength to strength. So if you're not already subscribed, then please do so. Hit that notification bell to be informed every time I upload a new video. If there's any requests for designs, then please pop it in the comment box. As ever, thanks very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial, and goodbye for now.